Hello everybody, welcome back to Kanga TV, home of North Melbourne fans. Today is Friday the 21st of February and tomorrow we play our first intra-club game. It's a practice match against the Dees, a 10 a.m. start at Arden Street. It's going to be a hot one, so make sure you bring a sunscreen, make sure you bring a hat, but we're going to be in for hopefully some hot North ball out on the field as well. I kind of wanted to do a mini preview ahead of the game tomorrow. I suppose this is our first real hit out, so we've seen all the preseason training. We obviously had that great intra-club game last Saturday at Arden Street. There was heaps of people down there. I think it's going to be a pretty big crowd there tomorrow as well, both North and the Dees. It's their first hit out against proper opposition for 2025, so I think a lot of fans will be eager to see how both sides do stack up. I guess I wanted to do a little bit of a preview, but not too much. I think it's a bit tricky going into this preview simply because it's the first time we're going to see North field their best 23, I guess, or trial a best 23 as we inch closer to the season. Obviously, up until this point, it's just been North v North. So the side's been really good, but I think this is going to be a really good test for us to see where we're at. I think fans are really chomping at the bit. Obviously, we're so excited about what we've seen so far and things are looking really good, but it's now going to be about how we take it up to the opposition. So the first things first, I guess, is what we look like. I mean, who's going to take their spot in the side? There are so many different options. There are so many different question marks. Players who we probably thought would be there, won't be there. A couple of those players are obviously injured. We've got George Wardlaw, who, as we all know, well-publicised hamstring injury, won't be back for a while. Zach Fisher is also sidelined with a hamstring injury and isn't expected to come back for another couple of weeks. So whether he makes it in time for round one or not, we'll just have to wait and see. Josh Goda did injure his hamstring a few weeks ago at training. That was confirmed by the club during the week. He's probably about 6 weeks now further back from where he already was, coming back from that ruptured Achilles that he unfortunately did last season. Josh Goda is a really interesting one because I think a lot of people thought that he would probably be first in line to potentially slot into the back line in place of Luke McDonald. I think a lot of people have question marks around where Luke McDonald's spot in the side sits now that he has stepped down as captain, but Luke McDonald potentially will retain his spot in the side. I actually thought he was quite good in the intra-club game last week. I thought that he held his own. I thought he held his ground really well. He fought pretty well in the air. He looked pretty good on the ground as well. So I do think based on that, he probably will line up, but there are other options. I thought Miller Bergman was pretty good. He definitely did fumble the ball a little bit. For the most part, I did really like his game. I also really loved what I saw from Riley Hardiman, and I've been quite bullish on Riley Hardiman pretty much since the start of the season, even end of last season. I think he's definitely one to watch for us as well. So there's a few options there. It's going to be interesting to see how we line up with the talls as well. Griffin Logan, Charlie Comben, you would definitely expect to play. Matt Whitlock was very impressive in the intra-club game. Aiden Core would probably be my choice simply based on experience and what we've seen, but he also is coming back from a finger injury, so it's how well he can hold up. Maybe we just throw Matt Whitlock in the deep end, given it's a preseason game. He was pretty impressive last weekend in the intra-club, so maybe we just give him a run in defense. So there's another one that's going to be really interesting to watch. Finn O'Sullivan, the highly touted pick number 2 from last year's draft. He was so impressive as well in the intra-club game over the weekend. I think the talk around him making his debut sooner rather than later is getting louder as the weeks goes on. So I do feel like potentially there is an opportunity just to throw a few guys in there, see what they can do, give them an opportunity. It doesn't necessarily mean they'll play round one, but it could just be nice to give them a look in and maybe see how they go. Just throw them in the deep end is probably the best way to go about it. I guess the other one is up forward. We saw the impact that Jack Darling had, not just kicking a goal and being a big presence, but he allowed Zerha to kick 5. He allowed Larky to kick 3. He allowed those guys to run with a little bit more freedom. So it's how we look up forward. Is it Larky and Darling? And then do we go with Zerha and Curtis? And then Luke Parker, he actually played a lot more in the midfield than he did play forward, which I don't know if a lot of us expected heading into this season. And then, of course, we also do have Jai Simpkin. He was best on ground, the Polly Farmer medalist for the Indigenous side in their exhibition game over in Perth against Fremantle last Saturday night. Boy, it was an emotive performance. He was absolutely everywhere. You could tell how much it meant to him and the respects he was able to pay to his pop through the goal that he kicked, but just a really brave performance from Jai, and it's a real captain's performance, you know, and if he's going to be the one leading us from the front solo this year, then you really do want him to step up and perform, and I think that he did just that in that game, and if that's a sign of things to come for Jai, try in 2025 and moving forward, then this club is in incredible hands. I'm sure everyone can agree. The other one up forward that I'd love to see have a shot is Robin Hansen Jr. There has been a lot of talk about him and how he would fit in the side. I know that there's been talk about Constanti. Cooper Harvey had a bit of mongrel in him in his game. Zane Dersma moved into the midfield and played most of the game in the midfield for the Pink team in last week's intra-club game, so maybe he won't be a part of that forward line, at least in the immediate term. Maybe there's a different look for big game Zane, so maybe that does open up an opportunity for Robin Hansen Jr. I thought River Stevens was pretty good. A lot of people did like the look of Jacob Constanti as well, and not disregarding what either of them brought to the side, but I think Robert Hansen Jr. has definitely been the one that's impressed me the most just on the off-season in general. I think Eddie Ford was quite electric as well. He was really throwing himself at everything in that intra-club game. So there isn't really a lot for me to, I guess, preview other than sit here and weigh up all the different opportunities, all the different options that we have to field for tomorrow's game. And I guess it's going to be a real indicator tomorrow of where we are sitting, albeit it's a practice game. And I guess first and foremost, most important thing is for us just to every player to get out unscathed, just to go in, have a good time, have a really good crack. But we don't want to, we don't want any more injuries in the off season. We have a pretty clean bill of health with the exception of a couple of players, obviously, as I mentioned at the very top. So the opportunity for us to just give it our best shot, but still come away with a clean slate would be ideal. I'm really looking forward to seeing what we can bring. I think this will be our first real indicator of where we're sitting. Obviously, the hype has been quite substantial, definitely internally, but I think a lot of talk externally as well. A lot of journalists and media personalities have come out and said, this is North's time, and they have been putting in the work that suggests to a lot of us that we really can win a fair amount of games this season and really make significant improvement and move up the ladder a little bit. What do you guys think we're going to be doing and showing tomorrow in the intra-club game? Leave all of your thoughts in the comments down below. Don't forget the game has been moved to 10 a.m. originally and 11 a.m. kickoff, but because of the heat, they're moving the game earlier, an hour earlier, and all of the players who don't play against the Dees in our senior side will play in the VFL team straight after. So it's going to be a really, really fun morning of North ball down at Arden Street. I hope to see you guys there. If you can't make it, I will try and keep you all up to date on socials as much as possible. Kanga TV show on Facebook, Instagram, X, and you can also send an email. Also, thank you so much to everyone who has purchased caps for Kanga TV so far. Your support is just overwhelming, and I'm just so humbled by it, and I say it all the time, but I really can't thank you guys enough. There would be no Kanga TV if it wasn't for you guys watching along. I have decided to keep the pre-orders open for the caps over the weekend, so I'll leave the link down in the description as well if you wanted to grab one of those. If you have any questions, feel free to message me. A few people have asked about international shipping. I can do it. Just send me a message if you're interested, and we will work something out. I hope to see as many of you down at Arden Street as possible. If not, I will catch you here for a review of our first real game of the season. I'll see you guys then.